Manchester United and Barcelona are said to be close to an agreement after a breakthrough in recent hours in Manchester United's pursuit of the Netherlands international. It's a deal that Man United and, of course, Erik want to get done and over the line. We're going to delve into it in more detail. The 30th of June, Man United are optimistic it will be done by then. Also on today's show, we're talking Ligt and a big money plus player bid by Chelsea in the Bowley Group for Ligt, who of course wants to join the Premier League, wants to leave Juventus. An update on Richarlison, Chelsea and Spurs wanting him over Raphinha, where Arsenal are leading and confident in that race, plus a £40 million bid for Lisandro Martinez from Arsenal Football Club could get the deal done next week. Big moves in the Premier League. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the Football Terrace. Let's go. Lots to talk about on today's show. Lots of transfers over the weekend, really starting to pick up pace in terms of the building blocks ahead of next week. Negotiations going on over the course of the weekend as well. These clubs typically tend not to overtly sleep, as it were, but we're going to delve through it with you today. We're going to give you the chance to phone in and speak. But just a few hours ago, a big, large Spanish publication here printed the headline, Barca and United close to an agreement for Frenkie de Jong. When you go through the body of the article, they've stated that Frenkie de Jong is moving closer to Manchester United. Sources close to the negotiations reveal that conversations have gone very well in the last few hours, and it's starting to seem possible the Dutchman could move to the Premier League. The deal would be around 80 million euros, close to the price Barca are demanding. The Red Devils are entirely optimistic and think it could be sealed by June 30th, is the claim being made. And it's interesting because I spoke to a few sources via Give Me Sport just last week, maybe just over a week ago now, that said United are gearing up a bid that would be somewhere in the region of 70 million euros plus around 10 million pounds of appearance-related add-ons, given a total of 80 million euros. Man United are prepared to pay that money. It's a little bit shy, 5 to 10 million shy of what Barcelona were hoping for, what Barcelona were optimistic for. But Man United have been resolute in their negotiations and have tried to keep the overall cost of the player down. It's something the club feels is important this year. But it is a deal where the vast majority of press and outlets from Barcelona, from the continent, believe that personal terms will be no issue, or they've already been agreed in one way, shape, or form. Some of the British press have gone as far to say that already. But the word right now, Saturday afternoon, the 25th of June, coming out of Barcelona is Man United and Barcelona have come closer to an agreement. Very positive talks in recent hours and negotiations to bring this player to the Premier League. Now, of course, I want your thoughts and I want your feelings, people, on this. We are going to be talking Ligt on the show. We're going to be talking Lisandro Martinez, Richarlison. We're going to touch on Raphinha as well. So stay with us if you're here to hear about and speak about those deals as well. We will open up the line for you to come on and have your say too. There's a super chat here that says, I'm tired of us neglecting the CDM position. Rice not leaving, all attackers will flop without changes, and the supply line, we don't create chances. Let us know who you support, Adrian, because people are intrigued by that. But thank you very much for your super chat. I think you're a Chelsea fan by reading that. I think you're a Chelsea fan in terms of what you say. Lots of happy gooners in the chat today as well. That's a weird one. Terry Wagwan fam, De Jong. Yeah, listen, Man United have wanted De Jong. And it is a deal where I kind of feel like if we don't get him soon, it may be something that Man United need to put on the back burner. It may be something Man United need to kind of put to the back of their mind and go on towards other targets. The squad needs the injection of new players. Pre-season starts in 2 days' time. Erik ten Hag will be in Manchester. He'll be arriving in Manchester tomorrow for his final preparations before he begins his real stint as Man United manager, actually training the players, coaching the players, and trying to develop a team capable of winning. That is what he's going to be going out of his way to try and do and try and achieve. I think bringing De Jong and getting him in sooner rather than later is going to be key. He played international football, so he wouldn't even come into training until about the end of the first week or so of July, with the rest of the first team that played in sort of international breaks at the end of the campaign. But of course, the Premier League kicks off in 6 weeks. 6 weeks tomorrow, Manchester United play their first game. Pre-season's important, getting 2 or 3 new bodies in as well. And according to the reports coming out of Spain this afternoon, for anyone new who's just tuning in, Man United, Barca, close to an agreement. Breakthrough this afternoon was the headline. A breakthrough has been made, and it appears the deal for Frenkie de Jong to become a Manchester United and Premier League player is drawing closer. Now, some of the other deals that we want to focus on, of course, the Ligt. An offer has been made. Chelsea have told Juve they are willing to offer 45 million euros plus Timo Werner for De Ligt. Now, there's a £100 million release clause in his contract, and Juve are going to want as close to that as possible. But of course, his deal runs out in 2 years' time. They'll lose value on that in the space of the next 12 months. I still think Chelsea know this initial offer will be rejected or won't be enough to actually get the deal over the line and to get the deal done and to get things closed off. I think that's fairly obvious to most people. But it's a starting bid. It gives Chelsea an idea. Let's see how close they are to saying yes. Maybe they go straight away on the phone. No, absolutely no chance. Maybe they and ah for a day or two and then say no. That gives Chelsea an indicator that, well, let's maybe add 5 more, 6 more, 7 million more euros on. Rather than go straight in at the deep end and go, look, there's 60 mil plus Werner. If you can, this is what's going to be different with the Bowley group compared to Roman. They will look to save 3 million here, 5 million there, 10 million here. And that's what's going to have to happen now, because they won't be pumping 50 million pounds a season of their own money into the football club. The loan market is changing too, meaning Chelsea will see a decrease in income from those areas exponentially over the next 3 seasons as that rule comes into full effect. So, of course, Chelsea need to be more prudent. They need to be more surgical, and they need to be smarter in the way in which they work. But De Ligt, it is a deal that Chelsea want. It is a deal that Tuchel wants, and the player is seemingly open to it as well. There are rumors that other clubs are looking, including Manchester United, but as it stands right now, it very much appears that Chelsea Football Club are leading the way in that pursuit, in that deal. And I really do want your thoughts and your feelings on that. I want Chelsea fans. I want to hear from you. Rival fans as well. Jules Koundé, De Ligt. Some are saying they need both. A lot of the reports are suggesting that the interest is now cooled since the changing of the regime. I want your thoughts and I want your feelings. We're going to open up the lines for you to come on and have your say. We are talking Arsenal's transfers as well on this show. So I want to hear from you all. We're going to share the link now in the live comment section so you guys can all come on. I'm going to share it on Instagram and Facebook as well, if that's where you're watching. By the way, Facebook's smashing it again. Over 500 likes already. We're only 8 minutes in. 240 currently on YouTube. YouTube, get yourselves caught up with the Facebook crew, please. Zane here says, Terry, De Jong will be a good addition, but United need now to speed up the process of getting other targets, as Ten Hag's system isn't easy to play. New players need the pre-season. And that's why United have been working on multiple deals at the same time. Erik ten Hag wants Christian Eriksen in the team. That looks as close as it's ever been before to happening. And I think what you'll find happening at Manchester United is you will get a agreement close FC. I think what you'll get with Man United is almost what we call the red bus syndrome here in London. You wait for a bus for ages and suddenly 2 come at once, 3 come at once. They all arrive at the same time. I very much think that's what you may see here with Manchester United. I really, really do. Sherrick here says Chelsea need both, but they are young, which is risky. I think they should buy one of them and Koulibaly. That's what Chelsea should do. But bring Koulibaly in for the experience, and then one of De Ligt or Jules Koundé, who we've got to remember as well. De Ligt's looked at as an older defender. He's experienced, but he's only 22. He's a year younger than Konate, a year younger than Jules Koundé. He's still a baby at 22 years of age. A lot of 22-year-old centre-backs at the highest level haven't even played that many games yet. Like it's next levels. It really, really is in terms of the age still. Thank you for joining up as a squad member, Blue Viper, here on the Football Terrace. Thank you very, very much indeed. We had a super chat that came through as well. Where's that gone? I swear I saw a super chat, or my eyes deceived me. I know, here it is. It says, hey, Terry, watching from Somalia, Chelsea fan, hope we sign the Ligt and get rid of Werner. Well, this is the thing. Thank you very much for the super chat, my G. I think that's what Chelsea fans are most encouraged about by this potential deal, is you get rid of a dead player who's done very little for your football club. You clear he's huge wages as well, huge wages that he's on. You remove those wages and you bring him one of the most talented and best young centre-backs in world football. It would be and do you know what's crazy about the Chelsea situation? The amount of rivals that have been trying to tell Chelsea fans, you should be panicking, you should be worried, you should be frustrated about the direction that your club's going in. Absolutely not. Chelsea are in a phenomenal position. I really do think these owners are going to pump anywhere between 150 to 200 million pound on new players. I don't really care about net spend. They'll spend that on new players. They're looking like they're going to go big. Another positive news for Chelsea today. Talks coming out of Barca that Barcelona will pull away from trying to buy Ousmane Dembele. Ousmane Dembele, and we're going to move on to this a bit later, not staying at Barcelona could change everything in the Raphinha, Richarlison chase that we see. 3 clubs in London all kind of looking at. Of course, Arsenal looking at Richarlison, but we'll get onto that a little bit later in the show. Chelsea are fine and will be fine. Of course they will. Now, one of the other transfers that's kind of circulating a lot at the moment, which people are really, really interested in, first of all, is Lisandro Martinez. Now, Lisandro Martinez is a big Arsenal target. Arsenal want him more so than anybody else. There is a desire from the player to come to the Premier League, and he is open to joining Arsenal. Ryan Taylor here says that Arsenal remain in dialogue. There is a sense that an offer in the region of 40 million is enough to alter Ajax's stance on a sale, with Arsenal confident the player would be open to moving to the Emirates Stadium. Now, this is another phenomenally talented young player. And listen, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Arsenal were doing a madness. Arsenal were moving crazy in a very positive way during this summer transfer window. This is a bad move for everybody in the top 6 because Arsenal will become better. It's a terrible move for Man United, though. It is a player that United are loosely linked with, that they are looking at. Man United haven't even decided whether they're going to formally bid for him at this point. So United are not fully in the race. They are looking. But that isn't what the issue is. If another player leaves Ajax, it makes it harder for the likes of Anthony that does want to join Manchester United to leave. It makes it even more impossible to go back and try and get Urian Timber to change his mind. So Manchester United have got to watch this and watch it carefully. So what's expected to happen is a bid in the region of 40 million pounds to be made sometime next week for Lisandro Martinez. Arsenal are confident they can get this deal done. They're also very confident, by the way, and believe they're now leading the race to sign Raphinha. And we'll move on to that a little bit later. And we're taking some of your calls on that as well. But Arsenal will put themselves into a very, very interesting position indeed. They've been very quick. They've been very direct. They're putting a lot of money down. They're willing to pay big wages to these players. And that's all a positive. And I think any gooner that thinks that's a negative, I think is off their rocker. Legitimately off their rocker. The direction that they're going in, what they're trying to achieve right now at Arsenal, the extra experience, the quality, the age profile they're trying to raise. And I know that Lisandro isn't old, he's not in his mid-20s, but a lot of the targets they're going for are as well, is phenomenal. But this is another deal that could have a domino effect in the Premier League, a domino effect in the top 6, and impact Manchester United, especially with their pursuit of Anthony, which is looking hard because Anthony's got a price tag of around 60 million pounds, and Man United are unsure at this moment in time if they're going to go that far and that deep. Now, staying with Arsenal, Chelsea, Chelsea, Spurs, and staying with Arsenal, Chelsea, and Spurs. Sorry, my brain just had a literal meltdown. It had no idea what I was talking about for a second. As we already know, there's been reports today that Raphinha to Arsenal is at an advanced stage in relation to Leeds and Arsenal and their negotiations. It's been reported by Ornstein that Arsenal lead the race for the player. Now, on top of that, what you also have is a situation where Chelsea have shown interest in Raphinha, but instead they are focusing on Raheem Sterling, while Spurs' first choice is Richarlison. And that's come from David Ornstein as well. So what's very interesting is, I go back to the point I made earlier, Ousmane Dembele. Dembele is also a big, big target of Chelsea's. If he's going to leave and he's available, and Chelsea go for Raheem Sterling and Dembele, that's amazing business for them. It's amazing business. It then becomes a situation of, do Barcelona then go for Raphinha? They agreed personal terms with Raphinha back in February. But there is this feeling starting to develop that Arsenal have changed Raphinha's mind, that he may now want to remain in the best league in the world, the most potent league in the world, and play for one of the biggest teams in the world in Arsenal. They may have changed his mind. And there's quite a few murmurings that the reason why Spurs are now going to focus solely on Richarlison is because Raphinha wants Arsenal. Clubs don't like to chase players who want to go and sign for other football clubs. They very rarely do it because you're likely to be told no, right? Unless you play above and beyond the market value for the individual, which causes problems in your dressing rooms. Suddenly, hang on a minute, Kulusevski's knocking on the, hang on a minute, why are you paying this guy 250, 300 grand a week when I'm already in the team playing better than him? Spurs won't do that. They won't, we were seeing clubs do that before, and you make mistakes when you overpay for players that don't want to be at your club. It's a recipe for disaster. But Arsenal, confident on Raphinha, confident on Lisandro Martinez. Chelsea, confident on Raheem Sterling, pushing hard for Ligt. They're confident on him because he wants to join the Premier League. Manchester United closing on this deal for De Jong. They've been confident for a long time that the player wants to join. It was just about getting the deal over the line, and that appears to be very, very close to happening, according to big reports this afternoon coming out of Spain, that a breakthrough in the last few hours has happened. Now, look, I'm going to start taking some of your calls. I want to hear from you now, my people, because we're going to get Cameron on to have you say, Corey, long time no see backstage as well. Plus, Matthew's here and a few others as well. I will try my best to get as many on as possible. I want to do a few comments first here. Terry, is De Jong walking to United from Spain? Listen, people have got to read the reports that have come out. This has all been about Barcelona's financial problems, and this probably still won't be signed off until after they've had their injection of cash. They're due somewhere between 200 to 250 million euros for the first segment payment after selling off some of their TV rights. That money coming in and being pushed into the books will take away their issues with FFP and enable them to spend every penny that comes into the club through transfer sales to be spent on players. If they accepted 3 weeks ago Man United's money, it would essentially got sucked into a vacuum and they wouldn't have been able to use it. So they had to be careful. That's what's been holding up the majority of this deal, heavily reported on. The British press haven't really reported on it. It's been the foreign press that's done it. But there you go. It's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Please make sure that like button's being smashed for us, my guys. Though very important that you get that done. There's a super chat that came through from John C. that says, surely at least one of the top six should be worried, Terry. About what? About what? I don't know what you mean. Worried about what? About that? Listen, I actually don't. I know Man United fans are panicking on socials, but remember, a lot of people, I'm going to start calling these people that are always negative, I'm going to start calling them fungus fans. The fungus people. The fungus fans, because fungus only grows in shit. Do you know what I mean? So they want their club to be in the shit. They want their club to be in the dark and horrible and dingy and smelling of poo, so they can grow through it. The fungus fans. But I think all of the top six should be fairly optimistic with the work and the approach their clubs are taking right now. They should be really, really optimistic. I really think they should. I don't think there should be doom and gloom and panic anywhere as it stands right now. No idea who that person is, but thank you very much for the super chat. I will definitely won't forget that name. That name, because of my dyslexia, will give me nightmares for about 6 months. Adrian here says, yeah, Terry, I'm a Chelsea fan. We are getting Rice. Tuchel, not a director of football, and his idea of attackers isn't convincing. And without a DM, we can't compete for top 4. Chelsea have bid for Declan Rice. Chelsea want Declan Rice. They're striving for it. He's a top-class player. Yes, £150 million that West Ham are quoting is extortionate money. And there isn't a player, probably barring Mbappe, Haaland, that's actually worth that amount of money. Especially not someone that scores goals. Someone that doesn't score goals. But Declan Rice, anywhere from sort of 90 million and lower, he would transform any midfield in the Premier League. He could get into the first team of any team in the Premier League. I truly believe that. And that's not an English bias. You're English is a biased Englishman. Not really, because most of my favourite players in the Premier aren't English. Just, I like him. He's great. But there we go. Let's have a look at some more of these comments that are coming through here. Terry, the world is full of bees and flies looking for smells. The people who speak are the flies. I like that. Listen, I've said it before about people. Like from my point of view, I don't see the need. Like people are getting angry at Man United. Man United fans are getting angry about things they've been asking for. Sorry, do you know what I mean? You've been asking us not to waste money, so we're being prudent and not panicking in terms of what we're offering people, and everyone's crying. I spoke to an agent yesterday, an agent that's been on the terrace before, actually. I said, what's your thoughts on Eriksen? He said, Eriksen's really close to joining Man United. That's the kind of word around football. And I said, why do you think it's taken him so long? He said, it hasn't. I said, well, everyone's saying that it is. He went, it hasn't taken him so long. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He said, well, think about it. Man United's new regime wasn't even in place 5-6 weeks ago. So when all this news came out that he wanted to stay in London, that was all being discussed in March and April, early part of May. Eriksen had no idea Man United were going to offer him a contract. None. Do you know why? Because we didn't know where our bloody manager was going to be. If Poch was here, he might not have wanted him. So we wouldn't be going in for him. This notion that Man United have suddenly of oh my God, the player's deliberating over what he wants to do. He kind of had his mind made up, Eriksen, where he was going to go, what he was going to do. And suddenly Man United in their size 10 boots has turned up and said, we fancy a bit of that. So he's had to rethink things because he had his heart set on staying in London. It wasn't like Man United offered him a contract back in January and he'd been deliberating this whole time. How this narrative has been created is beyond me. I get rivals will do it. Rivals banter away. That's your job. But Man United fans, oh my God, I can't believe nobody wants us. Who's told you that? Why are you believing it? Absolute guff. Proper guff, in my opinion. You know, and these people that don't think we're going to sign anybody, have they actually said that? Or are they just moaning about that we haven't done it yet? You know, do you know why Chelsea haven't signed no one yet? Because they had a ban, and then they got new owners, and then the new owners had to come in and kind of get their feet under the table. Now they're going to move on to the deals. United have had the same type of process, not with managers, but everyone running the football element has only recently been installed. It's new. You know the rebuild you're all asking for. This is what it looks like, morons. I'm sorry. It's a madness. It's an absolute. It's honestly get away from the fungus fans. Get away from the TPFs. Get away from the fungus boys. They're not good. They're not good news. Listen, first on the show, be now Cameron Lowe is here. What you saying, my G? Canadian Cam in the house. I don't think I've ever used his surname on there, but there we go. How you doing, mate?
Well, man, you good?
I'm very, very good. What's your thoughts? What you thinking, my bro?
I've been wanting to talk about this window for a bit, but time and everything. But let's chat for a bit because you're right. I've been watching like a bunch of different channels too, and just Twitter is exhausting now for me. Everybody's talking about, we're taking so long. We need all our players in by preseason, this or that. It's like, first off, how many preseasons have you watched where super influential players play a whole bunch of games? They don't. They play a couple. They play a couple minutes here and there. Like, it's for the young kids to get blooded in to see who we're keeping in that right. Frenkie de Jong, if we're going to talk about needing to get used to a system, Erik Ten Hag, the whole plan is for him to build it around Frenkie de Jong. He's done it before. So this is a player who he's like, I need for X system to work. If we trust that this coach is as good as he's supposed to be, do we think that he's sitting there and goes, I just have one plan. I have one plan, and that one plan goes all the way. If I don't get obviously he's planning for multiple outcomes, but the main one is around Frenkie de Jong. So take your time, get him. It doesn't matter. I don't want him in August, obviously, but again, we're in June. And like you said, you've been saying it, they just started. If we talk, people are like, oh, City, they've been doing crazy. Haaland was worked on since last year. We knew that City were in for Haaland last year. Like, we knew that it was, if Real Madrid don't go in for him, it's going to probably be him. Like, Darwin Núñez, Liverpool came out and said, Klopp said, I was looking at this guy for months. So all of a sudden, we're the only team that need to rush back. And this is the other thing. What was the first price we saw quoted for Frenkie de Jong? 100 million euros. People forget that was the first number they said they wanted. Now it's down to what? 80 million euros. It's like, we're doing exactly what we should be doing, and nobody is happy right now. They're freaking out, losing their mind. Everyone's got this PTSD over the old regime, and you're just like, they're gone. Forget about it. It's like people talking about Pogba still, but he's gone. Like, move on. It's like people who just can't move on in their life. Like, they need something to be bitter and upset about. Like, I just want to talk about the potential future of the team and the players we're looking at and how that's going to look. That's what I care about, right?
Listen, I couldn't agree with you more. I understand the PTSD element, but everything people people haven't got everything they wanted. They haven't got the director of football they craved. He doesn't have the name they want or the experience. I kind of get all of this, but a point I've made to a lot of people is very simple. We've been given the vast majority of things we've been asking for. Football people making the football decisions, a manager with a style and a system, and the coaching staff surrounding him and the ability. But what happens is, at any point along that where they get an element they didn't want. For instance, Steve McLaren. Oh, that wasn't he's far too English and ginger to be what I want. And people, they get angry about it, and they start throwing their toys out of their pram. And a lot of these United fans, the Fungus fans, really they don't want Man United to get better because they're scared of what it's going to do to them and the way people interact with them and stuff like that. We're going to bring Corey onto the show now to join Cam and me to have this. I want to address this first from James. It says, you were a Fungus fan when Palace got the young kid. James, hang on. You didn't watch the video then, did you, G? I literally trolled him for the first 30 seconds, pretending like I was angry that we didn't sign some kid that isn't going to play for Man United in the short term. You obviously didn't watch the video. Oh, bro. Thank you for the super chat, though, my G. I appreciate it. Try watching content. Honestly, if I owned YouTube, I'd make the rule. You've got to watch like 50% of content minimum before they allow you to leave a comment. Because honestly, it would change your experience, people, if you actually watch the content first. Let me get Corey out now to have his say. Smash that like and share button, people. Let's go. Quick update on what's been going on as well. There is a report from Spain this afternoon that Manchester United are close to an agreement now after a breakthrough in negotiations in the past few hours. Chelsea Football Club have made a bid, 45 million euros plus Werner for Ligt from Juve. And Arsenal are gearing up for a £40 million bid to sign Lisandro Martinez. They're leading the race for him, and they're leading the race for Raphinha, according to sources. But we want to hear from you. We want to know what you're thinking and feeling. Corey's here with us now. How you doing, mate? What are you thinking?
You know what? I think Cranky's finally pulling out that Super Bowl money, man. He's starting to spend it, man. He's starting to spend it. But I don't know. I'm happy with the business we're doing so far. It's just getting it over the line. You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of people on Twitter with, Raphinha and whatnot. I think that was an opportunity that presented itself, and we thought we've got to go for it. You know what I mean? Obviously, there's circumstances around that. I'm seeing people saying, oh, well, his priority is Barcelona. We've all known this. A lot of players have their preferences, but if you can't cough up the money, then the heads can get turned by other clubs. You know what I mean? Chelsea might be a priority for him more. But if they're not going to offer the money for him, then it's you know what I mean? It's all hearsay. There's nothing they can do there. If we're the ones that offer the money, and obviously we've been given inclination that he's somewhat interested in the project, you know what I mean? The project anyway. He's interested in what we're offering. Then, you know what I mean? That's why I suppose a lot of the news is saying that we're front runners. Lisandro's an interesting one because I think that came out of nowhere. I wasn't even expecting us to even be signing a centre-back, left-back or CDM hybrid. But maybe it makes sense. You know what I mean? Gabriel's the only left-sided, left-footed centre-back that we actually have. So I think that's more based off because I'm seeing reports talking about Nuno Tavares as well. Apparently him going on loan to Atalanta or was it Marseille? Maybe, you know, they're always sniffing
Yeah,
around.
he's looking at moving out. I mean, you guys in the market are doing some phenomenal work, really, in terms of the players you're looking at, and I think it's great for Arsenal fans because this season, if you land these players and get them over the line, you're going to get all the answers to all the debates. Is your manager good enough?
Yep.
Has the rebuild worked? This is when you get your answer, because if Arsenal improve, as these signings should make you improve, a bit like last year, it was spoke that United rebuild was done. Oli was ready to go to the next level. They signed Sancho, Varane, Ronaldo, and the expectation was now go deliver. And I think a combination of not being a good enough manager, the system not quite being right, and not being able to handle the pressure as a collective made Man United implode. We now find out what Arsenal Football Club are made of. I wanted to ask you, Cam, as a Man United fan, looking at what Arsenal were doing, like, what's your take on it?
So I think it's good work for where they're at, right? Like the same situation we're at. Like Arsenal hasn't had Champions League football for a long time, and they're still getting people to turn their heads and decide they want to go there. I think the World Cup year is interesting. Something people are overlooking. Like a Gabriel Jesus needs to play football. Why not go to an Arsenal and try and bang? I personally think he's going to get like 11, 12 goals, which will be all right, better than what Arsenal's been having. But if he goes off, that's even better, right? And that's not even showing shade or salt. It's just from what I've seen of the player. I think he's a good player, and I think he's making the right move for his career. Raphinha is another one. Like again, these guys in the Brazil squad, that's kind of deep in those front spaces. So if you're Raphinha and you're looking at Barca kind of being like, well, we want Lewandowski for sure. We definitely want, Raphinha, if we get to you, we'll get to you. If I'm Raphinha, I'm like, all right, well, now that's cool. I'm going to go somewhere else. So I do think them being opportunistic. I don't believe in this whole, he wants to play there. He wants these footballers want to play football. Okay. If they sign a contract and go to a team, if they're not 40 years old or 35 and clearly looking for a last contract, like Alexis Sanchez kind of was, they're going to want to play football and they're going to show out. Rafinha's not going to go to Arsenal and be like, well, I wanted to go to Barca, so I'm going to suck. He's going to go to Arsenal and be like, Barca, you should have signed me. So if they get Raphinha, that's great for them too. The Martinez one scares me because, like you said earlier, I want Antony. I think he would be the same idea where Arsenal fans you see on Twitter, and I can't believe this mentality where they're like, yo, but we got Saka. Who cares? Like who cares? Go get a guy who's going to show you if Saka is really that good, because I think he's great, but Raphinha is going to come in and push him because he's better at this moment. If we go get Antony, all of a sudden, everybody, like, I love Rashford. I got him on my wall. But guess what, Rashford? Now you really got to play well because Sancho's going to be on that left. Antony's a right winger through and through. It's going to be a battle between those three on who gets to start game in, game out. So from what Arsenal's doing, I think it's great. And I think the difference is where people are like, oh, they're moving so quick. I don't think that's the case. I think Arteta's been there for years. I think there's a plan. He's been saying there's a plan. Like you just said, we're going to find out if the plan works. And I think he's executing, and Kroenke's spending the money. So right now, what we're seeing is a manager who said, I have a plan. I didn't spend money. Remember, he didn't spend the money. We were all saying, all right, you better spend it now. They didn't spend it in January. They missed their targets. Now they're spending the money. So I can't hate on what Arsenal is doing, and I want to.
Of course, and I think that's where Arsenal fans should be happy, because the talk in January was, well, are you going to push the money to the summer and then not spend the money? That was always the problem or the fear factor amongst a lot of Arsenal fans, that the money was not actually going to end up being spent, as it were. But look, we're going to get some more people. I'm going to get Hanno on, who's a Chelsea fan. I'd love to get a Chelsea fan's view. Of course, the lit bid made. The targets at Chelsea are changing, but changing for the better in many people's eyes. Hanno, what you saying? Okay, Hanno's not there and ready. So instead, I don't know who everybody supports. I know some of you, your names are very, very obvious. We're going to go to, who am I going to go to? Marvel. Marvel's on the show. What are you saying, Marvel?
Yo. Hello.
Yeah, hello. What do you want to say, mate? Who do you support and what do you want to say?
I support Chelsea.
What do you want to say then, Marvel?
I want to say about the Ligt deal.
Go for it. Let's go. Come on. Let's get it out. Come on.
I think, like, it's either Jorginho or Werner going to Juventus for the Ligt. Because Jorginho want to return to Italy. Timo wants to go to Juventus. Hot, like
I hear that. Let me ask you a question though. Let's forget that part of it. How excited are you about getting De Ligt?
very excited. He's one of the best centre backs. He's like 22 years old or 21. He's young. He's like a captain who talks and shouts to the team.
Yeah, a lot of people would agree. Like, I think he's a phenomenal young player. Listen, Marvel, thanks for coming on and having your say, my guy. I really appreciate it.
Hello?
Yes, bro.
Sorry, I just wanted to make one comment on something that somebody said in the comments about disagreeing because we need players in for training and whatnot.
Yeah.
Darwin Núñez, Holland, Gabriel Jesus, all these dudes, Frenkie de Jong, they're all on vacation. Like, they're all on vacation. Nobody's training yet, so we're still not behind. Sorry, I just had to, like, everybody like who's saying we're behind and we need players in, like, we're not behind.
And I do get the point. I do get the point, but everybody's got to factor in. If we were going into our second or even our third or fourth year of this rebuild, I could actually understand people's frustration holding a lot more validity. But we are 5-6 weeks into a rebuild, a refresh of targets, a new idea. This is so normal at this point. Again, if we'd have appointed the manager in November, even if he was appointed in November and wasn't running here until May, this would have been easier because you start work on his targets. You have phone calls with him. None of that actually happens. I think it's important to remember. David's joining us now. Of course, David, member of the Terrace. We all know David, big Chelsea fan. Is he there? His camera's gone off, actually. I was about to bring him on, then his camera disappeared. Maybe he's gone for a little bit of a walkabout. I want to just say as well, by the way, a lot of people are mentioning Mark Goldbridge when I'm talking about fans being negative. I've seen some of Goldbridge's tweets, and some of them are negative, and I don't agree with them. However, it's not Mark Goldbridge's fault that other people tweet or think negative things. If you just parrot what Mark Goldbridge says, that's on you. Like if you don't feel like things are bad, you don't need to say it just because he said it. That's weird. Like, that's crazy. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but for me, I'm not even talking about people like him. I'm talking more about individuals I see will tweet and go, I want us to stop wasting money. And then, why are we taking so long to negotiate? Well, because we're doing exactly what you're asking for. It's strange to me. But it's a real strange one for me that people think and feel like that. We've got a guy coming on here. I'm not too sure what his name is. Sean is his name. He's a Spurs fan from the Spurs Talk Show. What are you saying, Sean?
Hi, Terry. How you doing, my friend?
I'm very, very well. It looks like Spurs are focusing on Richarlison. What do you think about that?
If I'm entirely honest, mate, I'm glad that you allowed me to talk Spurs. First time on the show, so I didn't know if you had to stick to the conversation that was happening. But I'm a little bit pissed, if I'm honest. A little bit annoyed with. Sorry if I shouldn't be able to swear, but I'm a little bit annoyed with. Like, the news coming out today is Tottenham. We got the 150 million quid. Tranche back in May that was agreed, and now the first 100 million of it has been agreed. It's been taken out of Erik and dropped into Tottenham's account. For me, it sounds good on paper, but I feel like Tottenham are focusing in the wrong areas. I feel like Arsenal are focusing in the wrong areas with a lot of their business. Like, they're trying to sign Raphinha. Like, I'm not sure if they need a player who can play like Raphinha. Like, they've already got Saka. I don't know if they need them. I don't know if Tottenham need Richarlison more than they need a right wing back. I don't know if we need a Bastoni more than we need an attacking central midfielder. For Tottenham specifically, it's a little bit annoying that all of the transfer news that I'm hearing about are for positions that are secondary in importance for us. To me, under Conte's system, having a right wing back and a left wing back that can complete that system that we don't have currently. And Perisic is 33, so whether he can play 40, 50 games in a season when you've only got Sessegnon behind him, who's got a worse injury record than anybody in that position in the Premier League. For me, I feel like Tottenham need to spend our focus in the right wing back spot, and Jed Spence is a massive lottery ticket. We don't know what he's like at Premiership level. He's only played against Premiership teams twice, both of them in the FA Cup. He did a good job, but the question marks out. For me, what I find annoying about Richarlison, the links, it's good. Like, we'll get him. If that's what Conte wants, then so be it. But for me, I'd much rather go and see us spend a club record signing, which is what Richarlison would be, on someone in the right wing-back space, or someone in the left wing-back space, or someone in the central midfielder who can go and create. We dropped 25 points last season against low-block teams. If we can find the solution to that, that puts us at 91 points last season. That's a championship, like, potential, right? But we can't do that. We only conceded 5 goals from our last 8 games. We conceded 8 goals from our last 15 games. I don't know if centre-back or striker is really where we need to spend our focus. For me, it should be right wing back and left wing back, and there's no attention there as far as I can tell in the news. That's good enough. I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Listen, I totally get where you're coming from. It kind of feels like Spurs started the window like a bull in a china shop. Basuma, great signing. I think Perisic, look, Conte's trying to build a Champions League squad. So you're going to have a lot of rotation that's needed to try and go deep into that competition. He's got a few sort of detractors to kind of dispel this myth that he can't play European or knockout football particularly well. So he wants to build a squad that's ready for that. Richarlison, though, for me is an interesting one because I feel like you're settling on him because Raphinha wants Arsenal, and clubs will always pull away when you don't get them. Pulling away from Christian Eriksen, again, the club are saying there was no real interest. I think it's more you've tried, but maybe he wants Man United and the club doesn't want to be seen as being rejected. But you need someone like an Eriksen, as you say, for those low block teams, something extra. There has to be a plan. Now, it may very well be that it's going to a little bit like Basuma that just came absolutely out of nowhere. Nobody saw it. Everyone kind of saw that he might move this summer, but there was no talk really of Tottenham anywhere. And then bang, one morning we all wake up. It's pretty much done and dusted. 24 hours later, medical done. So I'm pretty sure you're looking at these situations and scenarios. I'd be intrigued to see whether he goes back in again. I mean, Jed Spence is interesting because if you buy him, I think he's going to be your main guy. It'd be
scary, right? It's a scary risk.
It is, but I do think he's supremely talented. I think he's very, very talented indeed. There's no doubt about it, but it's certainly going to be intriguing. Arsenal top 4, 110%. Arsenal fans, as a Spurs fan, when you're looking at Arsenal's business at the minute, like what's your take on what they're doing?
If I'm honest, they're starting to do bits. I'm a little bit. I'm not worried. Because I think that where they're spending their focus and attention is in areas that I'm not entirely sure that they need support in. I feel like they should be going and finding people in the middle. Their midfield has always been a little bit vulnerable, and I think the age gap that they have there is where they should really be kind of like someone like Basuma, for me, would have been someone that Arsenal should have got and got. No, Raphinha, of course they're going to improve if they have Raphinha. Of course they're going to improve if they have and get Jesus. But they've already got Saka who can play in that kind of wing forward role. Jesus, the jury's out on him. A lot of people, Terry, think that they give Jesus' stats an excuse. They say, but he's playing for Man City. And Man City, they spread their excellence around, and it's not. Well, you know what? Now the jury's out on Jesus. It's going to be very interesting to see how he does at Arsenal. If he can go and get 20 goals for them, then fair play. Then the jury's come back with the answer. But I'm not entirely sure Jesus. He doesn't do it that successfully for his international team either. I'm worried by what Arsenal are doing. I'm a little bit concerned. Have they done anything yet that makes me super worried? Not really. I think that they should go and focus again, like I say, with Tottenham. I think that both clubs right now are patching over small holes when there's bigger holes elsewhere in their team and their squad.
Fair play. Good. Listen, solid opinions being made there. If you agree, disagree, get your comments in. Now, David's here with us, though. Big Chelsea fan. Some of your targets have changed recently. Ligt on the agenda. Dembele isn't looking like he's going to stay at Barcelona. Raheem Sterling, the main man. What are you saying, my guy? You happy?
I'm reasonably happy with it. I'm not too... Again, with centre-backs, it's a bit of a weird one because it's like we just need to sign good quality centre-backs. So it needs to be a Koundé, a De Ligt, and somebody else. I don't think both of them would make sense because I just feel like that'd be a lot of money spent in one area, but that's by the by. I'm happy with Sterling, really happy with Sterling. If Sterling was to happen, I'd be happy with Dembele as well because he's free. Like, even though he's got higher wages, but like he can't be worse than the 4 that we've already got. And then after that, it's just adding to what we have. Well, again, this thing of like I said it on Thursday, and everyone was like, "Oh, I'll beat you." It's like no, it's like we are like even in our current state where things are lacking and so on. I think at absolute worst, we'd finish 4th. Like an absolute worst. So for us, I know people are there like, oh, but you lost Rudiger and you lost Christensen and you lost Marcos Alonso. And it's like, yeah, but these guys didn't really contribute anyway. So I'm not too fussed that they're gone. And we do have youth players that can come in and they may, there's They may have their games where they drop off, but we have enough quality around the squad to not be too worried about finishing outside the top 4. In my personal opinion, and then I know that my team's going to add to it as well. So I'm not worried about top 4.
So Cam, when you say you disagree, what do you mean?
If they don't replace Rudiger Christensen, Aspie's their captain. Like, that's not like Werner isn't a player on your team. Like, Lukaku's gone. Like, what do you mean? You have to add a bunch of players. If you said,
I know we have to.
Hold on, but when I said I disagree is when you said in our current state. Those words. In your current state, dude, if you don't make changes, y'all finish in 5th, 6th. Obviously, you're going to, in my opinion. I'm not saying, but your words were in our current state, trying to take a shot at our.
Okay. When I say in our current, when I mean in our current state, I don't mean. Okay, let me rephrase it. I don't mean as of if today was end of transfer window. I mean when I say current state, as in if what I believe Bowley will do and so on carries on to when we get to the start of the season. That's what I mean by current state.
I said this before. Look, we obviously did the top 6 show was when Thursday night, and listen, I've got a lot of love for Igal, but Igal is doing. It's fine for rival fans to do this, but he's doing the typical fan theory, ignoring all the news, all the articles, all the interviews that suggests the Bowley group are going to spend big, but spend wisely and do it in a prudent way. And just focusing on the kind of headlines of basically they're not going to spend like Roman did. Therefore, it equals that they're going to be a badly run club. But literally only 2 or 3 clubs in the history of football have spent like Roman Abramovich. And teams outside of like Bayern Munich don't spend like Roman Abramovich. They've been pretty successful domestically and internationally. Liverpool don't spend like that. If they run as well as FFG do, but spend more, look how successful Chelsea can be. I don't like this notion that Chelsea are suddenly just dead in the water because Roma. I agree that they need to buy this summer if they're going to compete next year. Of course, they've got to bring in players. Everybody does. That's why Liverpool fans are getting a little bit uppity because they were buzzing about Darwin Núñez, and now they're being told no one else is coming. And City have signed 2 top-quality strikers in Haaland and Alvarez. They've got Cucurella coming in. Calvin Phillips has now been signed for 45 million. What they've just done, they've literally replaced, like, Mendy that's obviously off to play football elsewhere. You've got Fernandinho that's retired, and they've now they've got a replacement in now properly for Aguero. Like, they've replaced all their holes, and that's what teams need to do. But it's going to be very intriguing to see how they kind of come out on that. In terms of I want to speak about the Raphinha situation because obviously we've got Sean here as a Spurs fan. You guys are kind of looking at him a bit. Raphinha has been looked at a bit by Chelsea. Arsenal kind of leading the way. Is this a case of Arsenal having more pull, Arsenal beating you to the punch, or is it more we've just got different targets? Like where do we think this sits and where do we think it stands?
Yeah. Go on, sorry.
Go on, Corey.
I think I don't listen. You know what I mean? I Tottenham. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna be real. The whole thing about Paul. I think that's going out the window now. I think it's literally showing intent to actually buy this player. You know what I mean? Like he says, his first choice is Barcelona. Let's not get that twisted. If Barcelona cough up the money, he's going to Barcelona. But the opportunity is being presented because they're struggling financially to afford him. Or now there's reports coming out saying that no, you know what I mean, they're looking at other options. Between us and Tottenham, I think it's 50-50. I think it could go either way. Yes, you know what I mean, they've got Kulusevski, but they need competition for him more. So same with Saka. You know what I mean? I think it might be something that we don't need to immediately look at, but I think it's still a priority position because he got burnt out last season. But again, we've still got a World Cup to come up as well. Him playing throughout the whole season and then to play a World Cup potentially, he won't last. And you saw towards the end of the season, the young players, the burnt out, they couldn't handle the pressure. That's what I mean. I think for me, the fact that it's come out to, you know what I mean, that we're interested in, I'm all for it. I think it's 50-50. If we put the money up, then it's, you know what I mean, maybe the Edu factor that he's, you know what I mean, Brazilian and whatnot, but they've got Conte, you know what I mean? So in my eyes, that's why, and they can offer Champions League. So, you know what I mean, it could be 50-50. I don't think we have necessarily a bigger pull in this situation.
What about yourself, Sean? I mean, because I've seen some Fuad, obviously a big Spurs fan, has kind of said we're clearly going for Richarlison because we can't get Raphinha because Arsenal are, but whatever makes you feel better at night. Do you think this is a case of Spurs going for their number one target, or do you think they're missing out on Raphinha because Arsenal are getting him? Like, where do you see it as a fan?
I think Tottenham have got more options in the wing forward, which like Raphinha can't play as a number 9, right? And we need someone who can do everything. Or ideally, we need to get 2 people. One of them could be Raphinha, one of them could be Richarlison. I think Richarlison fits the bill as a front 3. He can play anywhere. I don't think Raphinha can play in all 3 positions. But what I would say is I genuinely do think that playing time at a club is more of a draw than I used to give it credit for. I think the reason why Gabriel Jesus is probably going to choose Arsenal over, if Tottenham were interested, I'm not sure if they were, but other teams, is because, he doesn't want to leave a club like Manchester City where he can't get on the team to come to a step down to Tottenham, which, as much as I hate to say it, Tottenham are a step down from United, and Arsenal and Spurs back and forth wherever. But at Arsenal, he's going to get more playing time. I think Sterling would get more playing time at Chelsea than he would at Tottenham, and Sterling was supposed to be interesting to Tottenham as well. And I think Raphinha is probably in that mold as well. I think there is, as much as we think that Tottenham have got, the best manager, the playing alongside whoever, Romero, Kane, Sonny, all that stuff, the best training ground, the best stadium, and Champions League. It sounds like a wonderful package, but to some players, they don't want to take that step down to all of those wonderful things, but to come to a team that haven't done it yet and still only have to compete for their space on the team. And I think Raphinha would be one of those teams. So I actually respectfully disagree, probably in your favour, mate. I think that Arsenal probably have a better draw for Raphinha, and the same with Jesus than Tottenham do, because I think that both of those will get more playing time in your club than they would at Tottenham as a first instance. So I think that for me, I don't know, Richarlison seems like the one that could fit the bill more. I'm not particularly bothered about Richarlison anyway. I don't particularly want him, especially not for a club record, Terry. But I do think that playing time is more of a draw than I would think it, or than most people give it credit for.
I completely agree, and I think that Jesus is a prime example. He wants to be the main guy, the main man, and Arsenal went straight in and said, that's what we'll give you. And I think Raphinha is also feeling that. I think he's feeling that. I mean, a lot of Arsenal fans want to kind of push this back and say absolutely no chance, but he's better than Saka, and he'll be You're not going to spend in and around £70 million on a player
to sit on your bench.
That's not a backup. And Arsenal are also not in a position to buy backups. Arsenal, Man United, and Tottenham, in my opinion, barring a striker or Tottenham as an example, our squads aren't good enough to buy backups. We need to be buying better first team players and pushing what's in our starting lineup onto the bench and making them fight it out. Like, none of our clubs are in a position to really go out right now and buy a Shaqiri. Do you know what I mean? Like, or we're going to buy a McTominay for midfield just because we need a bit of backup. No, we've already got one of them. We need better than what we've got to try and elevate things massively. And I think you're right. I think it's all about the positioning and who's right and who's wrong for people when it comes to some of these signings. You think about Raheem Sterling. He's been looked at by Tottenham, but they've got Son, and there is a debate to be had: who's better, Son or Sterling? Like, it'll be split. It won't be a landslide, but it'll be split. But you look at Chelsea, Raheem Sterling, Dembele, Raphinha's. I mean, interestingly, I think Raphinha could get into that team. Raheem Sterling becomes the best attacker at Chelsea overnight.
100%.
They've got no one that's better than him. He walks into that team, no questions asked. So
100%.
Yeah, it's an intriguing one for me.
Underrated. I think Richarlison's a bit underrated. I'm not like
Really?
Yeah, I do. He played for Everton. Like, Everton's terrible, and he still does. He's for me. Every time I've watched him play, he provides a bit of a threat. Like, he has like a presence about him. I'm not saying he's going to go to Tottenham and be the best player ever, but I think if I'm Tottenham, and I agree, you're not looking for backups, but Kulusevski.
Emmanuel Dennis got more goals from open play than Richarlison in a Watford team.
But he's not always playing centrally, right? And he didn't play a lot. He was hurt. He was hurt a lot. So he plays across the line. So Kulusevski had 1 year, right? Kane gets hurt a bunch. He didn't last year, which was great. Good for him. No. He gets hurt a bunch. You're not buying, in my opinion, a squad player. You're buying somebody who's probably going to play a decent amount of games for you, like more than Bergwijn played, right? So
he'd be a club record signing, though. And I don't want to see a club record signing come in and sit on the bench.
The money part, I don't agree with. So I wasn't thinking about the money. That's a fair point.
For me personally, it's like for what you're getting with Richarlison, you can get that cheaper somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Several other places.
I think again, from a Chelsea point of view, if you look at Richarlison, I think they've already got Richarlison's. No, because you are linked to him. I think Ziyech.
He's no better than Werner.
Yeah, I don't really think he is.
He'll run around, he'll press, and he can score penalties.
Mate, I agree with you. I think that Chelsea already have got Richarlison. It's such a weird signing for me. He's one of those players that 2 or 3 years ago was there's a lot of hype around him, and I know he's been at Everton and they've been run poorly, but he kind of turns up like 1 in 4. I guarantee you at Spurs when he'll be a 1 in 4 player. Every 4 games you'll go, wow, look at what we've got. And then all the games outside of that, you won't see much from him. He'll do some special things. He'll score some important goals. He'll wind a few. He'll be great in a North London derby. He'll square up to a few gooners. You might be 3-0 up in a game, and he gets a red card for and hurts an Arsenal player. And some Spurs fans will go, yeah, great. But he isn't going. I don't think for the 60, 70 odd million I've seen him linked to. I honestly think you'd be better off spending that money on Calvert-Lewin and having him as a backup striker for that much money would be better spend than on Richarlison. Raphinha, on the other hand, I think is an absolute gem, and I think that everybody should be. Look, I look at it. Man United got a problem on the right, and I know we want Anthony, but it's almost like if we can't get Anthony. So if Arsenal, for instance, next week secure Lisandro Martinez, and then Anthony isn't being sold for love or money, because that's basically half the Ajax first team's gone. If they say that's it, we're selling no one else, and we've still got an opening, like we have to make an attempt at Raphinha because we need to fix that right hand side. And I know there's a report that's just come out in the last hour or so that said that from Simon Peach, very respected United journalist, who has said here that it's understood that a box-to-box midfielder is seen as key for Ten Hag's rebuild, but also he's very much going to give an opportunity to previous out of favour players. He's going to give them a chance, which again, you might be able to plug a hole if Martial suddenly turns it back on his charm for a year or two. But I think Man United fans have got to realise that we're just in a different space to all the other teams, probably barring Spurs. This is the first summer of this rebuild. We are going to end, like Man United fans have got to wake up and smell the coffee and understand that at the end of this summer, there will still likely be holes and multiple positions where we got to improve there. Luke Shaw, I think Ten Hag can get a season out of him, and then we know whether or not he's good. Do you get where I'm coming from? Like we can't replace every position. It's going to be absolutely impossible. Even City took them 2 or 3 summers to really build Pepper squad that was like looking flawless, if that made sense. And even then, they still buy 4 new players every single season. It's crazy. We're going to add some more callers. Young Tommy's coming on now. Young Tommy, he wants Arteta out, but they're doing a madness this summer.
Yeah, we're doing good. Jesus, can't wait. It's almost there. We're almost on that finish line now. Now we have to get Tielemans, Raphinha. I want Osherman. I want Hickey, and I want Max Aarons as well, because we do need another right back in it. Because from the Arsenal injury pro, Cedric is garbage in it. But yeah, we're getting there, man. We're getting there. Like it's almost there, man. And we're making big moves. This is what I'm talking about. We're making these moves still. But yeah, Jesus is almost there. So I think he'll get us. I'll probably say 20 goals. Hopefully he can get us 20 goals. If he does that, then we've got a player.
20 goals.
Dave, we need 20 goals. Like
20 goals. Not from us. Not from Jesus. Not from Jesus. That guy got given 5 chances a game, and his best was 14. He's not scoring 20 at Arsenal.
What about Osherman if we get him? What about Osherman?
He's not getting 20 either. You guys don't create enough chances to get 20 goals.
Yeah, of course.
One person. It's not happening. It's not happening.
We'll see what happens, man. We'll see, bro. Because we need goals. We need goals. I want goals from everywhere, bro.
If you're talking about 20 goals in all competitions, maybe. But just in the league, no.
Fair enough, man. But that's what I want, bro. We need we need all that anyway. That's what I want. We need all that anyway, bro. But like I said, if this manager stays, for me, we're gonna finish 6th or 7th if he stays, because I don't think we'll get top 4 with this garbage of a manager.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but like, so 1 minute you're like, we're going to get 20 goals from this player and do this, do that, and then you're also going to come 6. Those two thoughts, I don't think can exist in the same brain.
No, I get that. I get that, Terry. What I'm saying is because obviously I want 20 goals from my strikers, but I'm just saying if we don't like start well or perform well, we're going to finish 6th or 7th if this manager stays.
Mate,
I want a Nagelsmann or
there's
whoever.
no way there is. It's almost. It feels almost impossible, even if you don't like Arteta. If you bring in all these players you're linked to, I can't see how you go backwards enough to finish 6th or 7th. I just can't see it myself because there'll be too much quality there. But young Tommy, thank you very much.
Where do you think we're going to finish? Like, what do you think we're going to finish?
I'm not making predictions now because the window hasn't finished and we have no idea who everybody else is going to sign yet. And I think, if the season started today, I'd probably predict you coming 3rd. But that's because no one else has done any business yet. Do you get what I mean?
Tottenham will get 3rd with the signings they've been making. They're making moves.
Yeah, but we say that. But if Chelsea end up signing Dembele and Sterling and Ligt and Declan Rice, and they start the season well, people will start talking about title charges. This is why you've got to wait for the signings to come in. Because we just don't. It's impossible to give predictions right now. Yeah. It really, really is. Young Tommy, top man for coming on. Really appreciate it, bro. Cheers, bro. Thank you. A comment here says, Man United fans glazer out for the wrong reasons. The club will sign 3 players and they will shut up. It will shut fans up, setting up these signing dates. Did clubs said we sign all players before pre-season? Man United fans are weak. Oh, listen, the glazer out stuff from fans is nauseating because these are the same fans that will be manager in, manager out like in a year's time if it's all going wrong. And they'll forget about all these problems they're saying the Glazers have created. I agree. Jay here says, to be honest, PTSD is valid as a United fan because these are the same people who are in the club before I remain. Well, they're not though, are they, Jay? Like some of the people were here, but they weren't. It was Ed Woodward and Matt Judge that were doing what last season would, and every year before that are doing what Myrtle and Fletcher and Andy O'Boyle and Ten Hag are now doing. So it's a different summer this year. And I just think you could be stressed about it, but I just think wait to see what kind of happens is sort of my take, really. I almost can't bring myself away from that train of thought, if I'm being absolutely honest. Zane here says, Martinez and Raphinha are good signings only if Arsenal sign a CM2 with Partey's injury record. Improving the 11 is as important as adding. Corey, I want to ask you about that. The talks are you're calling on Youri Tielemans. If you end up with Raphinha and Martinez, who can play a little bit of midfield, but you don't sign another CM, would you be disappointed or would you still remain happy and positive?
I would be honest, that was my main position I wanted sorted for years, man. You know what I mean? We're stuck with the granite, you know what I mean, the brick and Mohamed El and Iniesta, man. You know what I mean? We're stuck with those two. If Partey gets injured, you know what I mean, we're in trouble. And you know what I mean, Tielemans, you know what I mean, he's a quality player, but I don't think he's very mobile. And you've noticed in the Prem, you know what I mean, especially if they're playing free in the midfield, he can get found out, especially if they're not mobile. Basuma was on my top list, man. I was salty as hell, man. I was salty when he went to the Spurs, man, because I think he would have been the perfect competition for Partey. Because, you know what I mean, Partey's since he's came to the Prem, he's just been injury ravaged. And I think that for me, if we don't get that position sorted, I will be disappointed. Don't get twisted. If we get all the business done, I'll be happy. But that is one of the main positions I wanted sorted from, you know what I mean, from 2 years ago, really. We brought in and we haven't brought in an adequate or even replacement because, you know what I mean, he's getting on himself. He's 29, going on 30 this year. So we ain't got many years left of him. And, you know what I mean, like I said, Tielemans he's a quality CM, but I don't know, he kind of lacks in that defensive aspect. He's not Granit Xhaka, you know what I mean? He's a lot better player, but he's not mobile, you know what I mean? And I think Basuma would just be perfect in that, man. But missed out, man.
I think it's interesting. I mean, there's links to. I want to say Rennes, it might be Lille. I know it's a French club for Fofana, I believe. Arsenal have been sort of loosely linked with today. A lot of people rave about him and think he's talented. The cooling on Youri Tielemans is an interesting one for me. I kind of get they say to focus on signing other players. It doesn't still 100% make sense to me. Because if it's like a key position and it's done. And right now, no one else is in for him. And you've got the money for the other people. You just get it done, didn't you? It's slightly like I get the theories and I understand the logic that's being presented. But this, sometimes when someone tells you a story in the back of your mind, you get this little voice going, bit of Billy bullshit. I don't know, something about it in the back of my mind's like, I don't know if I believe that. And like I'm bigging up Arsenal's transfer window. It's been really good. But there's something about the Tielemans thing where I feel like there could be a new target. It could be they're not going to buy a midfielder. I just sort of feel like it was the fan theory that we don't need to worry about him because nobody else is in for him, so we can put it on the back burner. I feel like you would never do that to a player that you really, really wanted to sign. Because what if while you're looking over there, next man takes him? Like that's the bit. I don't know.
But for me, like me looking at Arsenal's business, they don't need to sign Tielemans because they got Vieira. I feel like those are two players that are quite like comparable. They're looking for someone who's like a defensive midfielder. Like that's what they're
can play that role. That's the thing. If he needs to, he can play that role. So if they actually do get him, which I really hope they don't, he can play that role for them. So you don't want Martinez right now. It seems like you're buying him as first choice center back or to compete with Gabriel and. Okay, first choice center back. I should just say that because he's going to oust one of those guys. But if Partey got hurt in a pinch, a good manager could probably put him in that same role. His distribution's fantastic. His distribution's great. And that's something that's really important for that position. And his positioning, and he's more mobile, exactly as you said, because people have asked me about why I don't like Tielemans. It's exactly that. He's not really mobile. He's pretty one-dimensional in my opinion.
He's got a bit of blubber, isn't he? He's got a little bit of blubber.
He kind of looks like he's built like KJ, so like
he's got a little bit of a dad bod. He's got like a dad bod, isn't he? Someone here says, "Oh my God, Terry said that." So yeah, the other day I didn't say that's the reason why I presented you the theory that journalists said why Arsenal have called on Youri Tielemans. That isn't my news. I need to explain this again. Maybe when I do this and I put something like this up on the screen, or this up on the screen, or this up on the screen, that's somebody else's news that we, the fan channels, are discussing. It's not me saying. I mean, I say the words, but it's not my words. I'm repeating something somebody else has said. Like if I was to sing Superstition by Stevie Wonder, it doesn't mean I wrote it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I get very, very confused by some of you. But equally, new information comes out. So let's say I did say it. If I was a journalist and a source says, "Oh, Arsenal are probably going to still come for Tielemans," but someone's
Sorry.
It's all right, mate. They're still going to go for Tielemans. Don't worry about it. They're just going to focus elsewhere first. I'll go, okay, cool. I'd listen to my source and trust him. But then a few days later, Arsenal will be incredibly linked to a different midfielder. You have to be skeptical and go, something don't feel right. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but there we go. Listen, I know there's more of you backstage. I'm sorry I can't take any more calls today. I'm very, very sorry indeed. We're back tomorrow with more content for you. The evening, another Straight Facts, another Sunday afternoon, evening Straight Facts. Myself and Liez will be live on the terrace. Very much looking forward to that. We had a super chat come through. I don't want to miss this. I see your point, Terry. I mean, it's a truth, isn't it? Like, new information makes you change your mind about things. Until Arsenal win a league title, then you can say all this was a huge deal, but then Arsenal will continue to fall and fall and fall. Also, that SOB Ian Wright can rot in hell for what he said to Arsenal fans. Oh, DK's not right in hell. You're not happy, are you, mate? Listen, I think you can be. I always say with the transfer window is the Vatican within Rome. Okay, it's like a separate world to football for a period of time, and then it becomes part of it. So, like, just enjoy the transfer window for what it is, the hustle and the bustle. Do you know what I mean? It's all good fun. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Please smash that like button before you leave. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless, and we'll see you.